Welcome to Married AF. We are your hosts, Brooke and Randal Fowler. On this show, we discuss the topics that really matter.
Like big veiny cocks and our favorite TV shows.
So pull up a chair at our kitchen table and hang out.
While I bulldog my nuts. I look ridiculous right now.
No, you don't. You look like a normal, everyday guy with a charcoal mask on.
Just around my eyes, though.
Well, because you have a beard.
Of course. That's exactly where I was going with that.
You could have gone a little bit lower.
I was horrified of getting it on some hair because I know how bad this is going to hurt when you take it off tonight.
Yeah.
After the show, and we put it on YouTube.
You've still got I can still see a little bit of wetness on the forehead area.
Says it goes opaque. Whatever that word means.
Means like you can't see through it.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know.
Right?
Maybe. Sounds good to me. So, fine. But yeah, so I have two circles around my, but it's mainly from my nose.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even go like in between your eyebrows.
Hell
You kind
no.
of did the pussy version of this.
Of course. I don't want to pull the eyebrows off.
And I say that because I've never done one of these that like you have to, I like the masks that like leave your face feeling like moisturized.
This is
you know?
supposed to, like a motherfucker, if you can survive it.
I don't think it's going to leave
it off.
That's going to tighten your face up and like, which is also good, and pull the shit out of your pores, also good. But yeah, I don't know. You're the test run. If it's amazing, I might try some on.
Yeah, the shit's expensive, so it better be more than the masks.
While you're talking though, your face, like there's nothing moving on your face because it's all so tight.
I'm wide awake. Feels like I've gotten 20 years of sleep.
Got a bunch of Botox or something in your...
How wide my eyes are open, but...
Should we do our shot?
Welcome, taint sniffers.
Butt lickers. This is the fullest shot glass. I don't even know if I can cheers you. Okay,
no, you can't. That'll be a disaster. Just
Okay.
bang it on something.
Well, just come cheers me. Yours isn't...
There you go.
Ding.
Nowhere near as bad.
Yeah.
Having mixed it. I'm lying. I just told a straight lie to my wife. It's terrible. It's still just as terrible. It takes a second.
It does.
It's an awful shot. It's a great tradition that we have made of taking one of the worst shots.
Well, because the name of it's great. The leg spreader.
Yeah.
It was more, like, I could tell it was mixed because it was, instead of just layering it in there.
For sure. But
still terrible. Still gross and still...
I'll be drunk in a minute again. I was wasted after last show.
I hope so.
I was wasted.
Maybe you'll let me get in your pants later.
Well, I mean, we are having my man crush on.
I know. You're going to get
Richard
very
Tillman
aroused.
shortly. Well, it's hard to say you have a man crush on someone that looks just like you.
Yeah. The resemblance is uncanny.
When he had a beard, if he would have shaved his head...
I don't recall seeing pictures of him with a beard.
And been heavier set, we would be twins.
What do you mean heavier set? Shut up.
I guarantee you he's... You can even ask him what he weighs. We'll see. I knew his shirt size before you asked.
I was going to guess that too,
but my weight guesstimation, if you ask him...
I have mine too.
192.
Well, fuck. I was going to say 190.
I'm too fisky.
Yeah, you were in the 240s when you went to the doctor the other day.
250 today.
Okay.
When I said 240s, it's like when they sell houses and they say from the 200s, that means 299.
Right.
When I said 240s, that means
249.
0.9.
I think so like when we went to the beach, I was like, I'm gaining so much weight because we were just eating whatever the fuck we wanted. And we got back and I essentially, because at night, you always weigh, it's really more accurate in the morning.
First thing after a piss.
So like I weighed myself, I think at night, like a day after we got back from the beach, and it was like, I was like, oh, I gained 2 pounds. But then the next morning I weighed myself and I was like, oh, it was just, I didn't gain any. But now I think I've gained a couple pounds since we got back from the beach. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, you only went to the gym once this week because they had Zumba instead of
last week
power circuit.
Right. And then last week it was 4th of July on Wednesday. So I couldn't do Monday, Wednesday. Yeah, I think that's what I attributed our vacation, me not gaining weight on our vacation, is because we did a lot of outdoor sweating activities.
We swam a shitload.
And swam.
We swam a million days.
And I feel like, just all the constant, So I feel good about that. But yeah, now that we're back and...
I wanted to bring something up, though, before Richard calls we never got to, which was the DC Daniel Cormier beating Stipe and winning the heavyweight championship.
So happy for DC.
He's the current light heavyweight and heavyweight champion.
So can people please quit hating on him and booing him because he's...
Well, now everybody's mad at him because of the Brock Lesnar WWE style.
Who orchestrated that?
At the end. But here's my thing on it.
Dana White orchestrated that.
And so did DC. DC loves WWE.
For sure.
And regardless of the fuckery, the WWE type build up to the fight,
it's entertaining.
I wish the fans would just let DC finally get his payday, because this will be a huge fight. He'll make a ton of money finally.
He's going to.
He's never had big money fights.
I know.
Because he doesn't draw pay-per-view.
And now he's the champ. So fuck.
And Brock draws, and he's going to get a piece of the pay-per-view. So let the man get paid.
And then Stipe's going to want to fight him again.
And he should. I love Stipe.
I
think he should give Stipe a rematch for sure.
Yes,
so
absolutely. My boss was super sad on Monday.
I couldn't say a bad thing about Stipe. He got caught with a short right in the clinch. Probably would have knocked anybody out. He took it like a champ. He didn't have any excuses. And he wanted to get home to his pregnant wife. That's why I love him. He's a fucking...
No, he's awesome. Here we go.
Here's Richard.
Missed a call.
Oh, no.
It rang like...
Was it California?
Yeah, it was Los Angeles.
We'll call him back. Great. Now he hates us.
This is Donald Trump.
Were you just prank calling us, sir?
I was. I just wanted to see if my phone would ring.
I was like, Los Angeles is calling me. Hang on.
Yeah. I won't get rid of that number. I'm in Fresno, but for some reason I got the number a long time ago, and I can't get myself to have a Fresno area code for some reason.
Yeah, well, I hear that. But
I want to great number though.
I want to let you know we're already rolling. We were doing our intro, and we just go straight into it. So we're rolling, rocking, and rolling.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad everyone knows I sound just like Donald Trump.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, I need to clear the air for a lot of our listeners right away, Richard. And will you please tell them that despite the fact that me and you look alike, that we are not related?
Well, I don't know. We haven't done our 23andMe test.
There you go.
I can't tell them with all honesty that we're not.
That's true.
I apologize.
I know. We're going to need some scientific results.
Yeah, what the...
You may be. You may be.
I like that answer.
And so, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Richard Tillman joining us.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me know I'm jumping straight into it.
Yeah.
Just right in, man. We don't...
It's all right. That's how I do it. I never put my toe in a pool. It just makes it worse.
That's what I'm saying. I'm the same way. Just get the shit over with.
Rip the
my
Band-Aid
dad used
off.
to go into lakes, and he would take one toe at a time. I'm like, just get in the water, man. You're torturing yourself.
Oh, it's
always better to just jump in.
Well, the big reason why we wanted to have you on the show, of course, is we wanted to talk about Luna Tikes. We're huge fans of the books. We own the books, and we got a set for Gunner's daycare, and we kind of wanted to help spread the message of Luna Tikes, so we were hoping you'd give us a little time to discuss those, and we're just happy you're willing to give us some time to talk about them.
No, of course, I appreciate you guys buying them and spreading the word, and I'd be more than happy to chat about the Luna Tikes. What do you want to know?
Well, the first thing I want to know is I've known of you for a long time, and if someone would have asked me years ago if I thought Richard Tillman would have wrote children's books, I'd have been like, no, I would never have guessed that. Would you have? Did you expect that this would ever happen, that you would write this awesome series of children's books?
I didn't expect it. It doesn't surprise me at all, because I've kind of always had the lessons that are in there kind of instilled in me, from my parents and, my family and brothers and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, it doesn't surprise me, because ultimately my kind of rougher exterior that I've grown to have is sort of a mask to the like true sensitive little kid that I was and still am. It's just sort of, over time you sort of build, defense mechanisms. It's like, humor in general. Most funny people kind of have had some struggles in their life. That's why they've developed a sense of humor. People with a silver spoon in their mouth aren't the funniest people around, if you've noticed.
Absolutely.
So I think it's one of those things that, no, it doesn't surprise me just simply because of the luxury of growing up in the family that I did and kind of learning the lessons that I did. And then just life just kind of toughens you up and builds you into the man that you are. But ultimately inside, we're always the kid that we once were. And I was always a very empathetic, sweet little dude. And obviously people can argue that in my adult life. Anytime I run into someone and I say something silly to them, it's usually because they earned it. It's usually, I kind of am more of a responder than a starter, but people usually notice the guy who throws the second punch.
Yeah, you're a counter puncher.
Well,
yeah, exactly. We'll watch a football game and see who gets the flag. It's not the guy that kicks the guy in the nuts. It's the dude that punches him in the face.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of children's books out there that have some of the types of lessons that are in yours. So that's why they really stood out to me.
Well, one of the things for me, I wanted my kids, empathy is a big deal for me. I feel like if you can walk in people's shoes or if you just can kind of understand someone a little bit better, obviously your kids are far better off. And my parents were really good about that and kind of, and ultimately, we're roughly the same generation and the kind of dialogue that flew around, it wasn't, nowadays it's people apparently mean what they're saying when they say a bad word or call someone a, whatever. And
Absolutely.
Back in the day, you could just sort of drop words and terminology that it wasn't so offensive,
Absolutely.
that, like, for example, people would throw around the term retard and not mean it in the way that people take it now.
Of
and
course.
It was more of it's a clinical term, but now it's a highly offensive word, and which I agree with now because I've learned to understand it, but it takes time. And I was taught that it's an acceptable word. And so I used it as that it was an acceptable word, And then ultimately it turned into obviously a horrible thing to say, and you have to kind of adjust and adapt. And for me, I want to instill in my kids, just do the right thing from the word go. And you won't have to learn as much as I did.
There you go.
That's a perfect example because I used to throw that word around, just not trying to be hurtful, but just like as just being silly. And then, because I didn't really have any experience or I didn't really know anybody that was affected by that. But as I got older and, had more experiences and met people that had like Down syndrome children, I'm like, oh, I'm an asshole. Yeah. So
exactly. Well, I'll say like someone's an MF or this, that, or the other.
Of course. And you can cuss on here.
But also if you break it down, all I'm saying is that they're a jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say anything. I don't mean it in a literal sense.
Right.
One of my buddies is, he's a gay dude and we were playing tennis and I made some comment about someone else saying, oh, this guy's a sea sucker or whatever, And he's like, that's so offensive. I'm like, Chris, I play tennis with you every day. Like, I guess mean the guy's a jerk. I don't care less, so there's certain things that have changed quite a bit. And it's by no, doing of our own. It's like anything. Hate is learned. Language is learned. My kids go to the park. They don't care what color any kid is. It's obviously the people that have filled with hate have parents that explain otherwise. I'm not something I'm a believer in.
I'll jump on it too. I'm as guilty as anybody. I grew up playing Smear the Queer. That was what we called it.
We played it too. Yeah,
I think Smear the Queer.
I think we're only a couple years older than.
And it simply meant get the guy with the ball.
Exactly. It meant blow. It meant definitely destroy the guy with the ball.
Nothing like it sounds. Today.
I had no idea what it meant till I was probably 13, 14, or 15.
Yeah.
And, I played it my whole life. And that's gone away. Now it's
what do they call that game?
It's like pick up smear, and
they don't let you play it. They don't even let you play it. I don't even think you can play tag anymore.
Yeah, they don't even play dodgeball anymore.
No,
what?
No, it's gotten a little oversensitive when it comes to that sort of stuff. If you ask me, but
that's
ultimately, if your intent is not to be mean, it shouldn't come across as being mean. When someone's being an asshole,
right?
And when somebody isn't.
Yeah, I love the. Like we have a 4-year-old. I think your kids are a little bit older than him, but I love the like innocence, and I want to keep his mindset the way it is, where like he doesn't see the difference in people. He doesn't see if anybody's, like if they're a different color or if they're like overweight or something, and oh, I just wish I could like bottle that and keep him that way. And
No.
so I'm trying to, we both are like trying to just make sure that, when
it's hard for me. Sorry to cut you off,
Oh, you're
babe,
fine.
but I wanted to say it's one of the things I love most about Luna Tikes is very much to your point. We took my oldest to Peyton Manning's passing academy a couple weeks ago down in Thibodaux, and we were watching him from the stands, and our youngest son saw one of the quarterbacks warming up, and he had that disease or whatever it was called, that
the same birth defect that the guy from what school?
University of Central Florida, the linebacker that was missing a hand.
Yeah, missing a hand and like kind of the first part of his arm. And we didn't see the kid. Like he was kind of standing pretty close to us, but we were looking at Griffin, and Gunnar started saying like, "Mommy, that guy was born with no arms." And I was like, "What are you talking about, baby?" And he was like Phil the fisherman. That kid was born with no arms. And I was like, "Baby, I don't know what you're talking about." And then he turned around and like was tying his shoes, and I could see the guy, and he was like, "That guy." I was like, "Oh, you're right." Yeah. I was like, "But look at him. He's kicking ass. He's playing football."
And Gunnar was like, "Yeah, he's so big, and he could tie. He tied his shoes. He was a beast on the field." I mean, but the equating it to that, it's a little. I love the fact that's where his head went.
Yeah, he
That's
immediately was
beautiful. And
fisherman.
that's kind of the thing. Like even with Harry Hockey, who's overweight. I mean, when I grew up, you'd see someone that's overweight, and you'd call him a fat bleep,
sure.
and not mean it in any other way other than you're just trying to be funny. Really, you'd never say it to their face. But to me, those instincts need to change. Or I'd rather my kids, if they see someone who's overweight, go, "Oh, look, there's Harry Hockey."
Exactly.
Or, it's not nearly as offensive. Or Phil the fisherman. Like, I think that's beautiful. And to hear that story, it warms my heart. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to tell Richard Tillman."
Yeah. No, it was
that's beautiful.
fantastic. I mean, and they're, I know I messaged you about that the kids at the daycare are loving the series, but the daycare directors told me multiple times that their kids are loving them. And we know that they're reading them because Gunnar comes back, and he's kind of, I told you his favorite was Sally Soccer at first. Well, now it's Phil the Fisherman. So it'll probably change again as they continue reading them.
It made sense for me that Sally Soccer was his favorite because it's the one he could relate to because, he's 4, doesn't have a whole lot of life experiences, but he does. He's been in jiu-jitsu for a year and a half. He's about to go in his 2nd season of baseball. So that whole like being a team player thing is relevant to him. So a lot of the other stuff he hadn't experienced yet, even though he liked the stories. But then, we saw that he was really paying attention about Phil the fisherman when we saw that one kid. But
yeah, and
no, that's awesome. It's great. I mean, that's the thing. That's what's really neat is it started out as more of like a a monetary kind of an endeavor. Like basically, my wife came out. I'm a stay-at-home dad when I'm not working on the books, and the kids obviously come first. And my wife was like, "How was your day?" I'm like, "This kid is a goddamn lunatic." It was just a rough one of those days. And we started cracking up and just thought it was such a funny name to call, a little
is
kid.
that how, like a lunatic, but a lunatic?
Yeah, exactly.
I
A cute way to call a kid crazy,
That's
basically,
genius.
because they all are beautifully crazy.
Yes.
And then the more I kind of my business partner Mike Thompson, because I write a lot. I have like screenplays and stuff. I like to just write different stuff. And he basically just suggested, well, why not? Because I came up with all these characters for like a clothing line. Like Harry Hockey was a concept of a onesie where you'd see his gut and his little butt crack, like a
Nice.
zipper hoodie.
Brooke
And
would
so
buy that in a heartbeat.
Exactly. I hope to get there. That's the thing. I feel like I wanted to get all, I'm trying to build a franchise here, obviously. But at the same time, just kind of the goodness of them took over, and it changed from being monetary to once I started writing them and putting these lessons to them and wanting to teach my kids what I feel they should know. It just kind of changed the game. And now it's just totally morphed every aspect of the business and everything that I'm trying to do. So, it's just really kind of a neat thing to have it evolve and grow into something that actually matters. And I feel like when you do something like do a passion that's beneficial and positive, hopefully the success will follow. And if it doesn't, then so be it. At least you're following your heart and you're doing the right thing. And I'm not selling out. That's the reason I wanted to publish it myself. It wasn't because I couldn't get anyone else to do it. I didn't even bother to try. I've been around, I used to act in LA. I've seen how suits behave. And, when non-creative people try to be creative and take over your project, it's destined for failure. And I'd rather fail with my own ideas than, somebody else's.
Hell yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of hit on each of the characters, like a little quick thing. Like Harry Hockey. I love Harry Hockey. He's the overweight guy with the butt crack hanging out.
He's so cute.
Is he? How did you come up with that character? I believe I read an interview where you said, was he your first one?
No, Larry the Luna Tike was the first one, but Harry was kind of the one that where I started to tap into kind of Larry. I sort of wrote right after, Mike, after he said it, I wrote that because it was kind of just a little anti-bullying one, and I kept it as it was because it's simpler. And I want in the books, I have more books. They're just not finished yet. In fact, Jamie Sell, the illustrator, he's just finished 2 more, so I'm waiting for their set of 5.
He's awesome, by the way. Whoever your illustrator is, he's fantastic.
Oh, I love the illustrator. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually got to meet him in San Francisco. Mike and I went up there and had a blast with him, and just a super talented guy, and I'm honored to be working with him. I'm so happy. Actually, Mike found him. And oddly enough, we got fed up trying to look for artists, and Mike basically said, he's like, screw this, I'm just going to Google cartoons for sale. And his name's Jamie Sale, and he does cartoons, so he popped up. But, to answer your question, Harry came, one of my great friends growing up, his name was Nat, Nathaniel, but we all called him Nat, and he's just an overweight dude, ate as much as I did and his brothers and everyone else. He was just a big dude. Yeah. And people would pick on him, and I used to see it, and I always used to defend him. And I even had to defend him to a principal one time. That kind of disgusted me that an adult, I was like in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just love the guy. I've always loved him, still love him to this day. We don't talk all the time, but when I do see him, he just, fills my heart with smiles. And he was kind of somebody that, because he was basically the person that he changed my whole outlook on weight and how you could be big or not. I mean, realizing that genetics, like I'd watch him eat, he's eating the same stuff I am, but I'm fortunate enough to not, be as large as him and have to lug the weight around. And so he was kind of the concept there.
But was he like athletic too? Like you got a lot of those friends that people think, oh, they're fat, and they are beasts. They're just chubby.
Yeah, no, he wasn't necessarily Babe Ruth. No offense, Matt, if you listen to this, but you know damn well. But actually, when I would pitch, we got into after like pony, like 13, 14 baseball. And I was a decent pitcher before I threw my arm out, and I would, was striking everyone else out until Nat would get up, and I'd throw it over, like right over I'd have him like take a swing so I could see where the bat was. And then I'd lace it right where the bat would be, and he'd hit like doubles. And parents would get super pissed. And I'm going, why would you be pissed about that?
Yeah.
Like they're actively verbally yelling at me that I'm helping out somebody on the other team. And it's like, dude, look, it's pony. I guess I was lucky enough
You're
to have
teenagers or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the World Series, people. Get a grip.
Well, I also wanted to know if is there any significance to Harry wearing the number 13, because that's Brooke's favorite number. Yes. I've got number 13 tattooed on me.
And happy Friday the 13th.
And happy Friday the 13th. I love the number 13 because everyone else hates it. So I was wondering if maybe there's something there.
Absolutely. It was my number when I used to be a quarterback. That was my number.
Hell yes.
I love it.
And I'm a Dan Marino fan. I'm a biggest fan of Jake Plummer, and he's number 16, but I kind of wanted to have my own number, and 13 wasn't used in our family yet. So
nice.
I like 13.
Well, 13's
I had it like
the
when
best.
I was a little kid as a soccer player and stuff too. So just something that stuck with me.
Hell
I'm
yes.
a lefty. We lefties are weirdos.
See, I knew that. When I saw it, I was like, I bet that was Richard's number somehow. Just because I'm so obsessed. My number, side note, I was a quarterback in high school, and I wore number 12. And my son.
Well, I'll tell you, I would not want to tackle you in high school.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't this big in high school, oddly
You're pretty
enough.
damn big, though, for a high school kid.
I was, about 200 pounds my senior year.
Yeah, I don't remember any kids I went to high school with being 200 pounds.
But.
Were you a Jim Kelly fan at all?
I love Jim Kelly. I mean, my guy's Brett Favre. I mean, Brett Favre's my hero.
Love him too.
That guy is just guts and nasty. He was a football player, not just a quarterback. I just love Brett Favre.
And he wasn't afraid to have a beer too.
Yeah, exactly. He looked like he'd be someone super fun to hang out with.
But that warms my heart, knowing that nugget that I was right about that nugget. It had to be something like that. So cool.
Well, I feel like anyone who played sports has like
of course,
numerology stuff in general. I mean, they're superstitious in some way or shape or form. I mean, in anything, I try to put numbers. A lot of the numbers have different. Like one of my buddies, John, is a 21. And so I threw a number 21 in there. I kind of give Jamie free reign unless I'm really specific on who I need the number on.
Sure.
But I like to throw in little things where I can that at least put a smile on my face, and the people that know they can they can know that it's what it's for.
So funny. You do the same thing, babe. The 21's the other one that you were, because Griffin is number 12, and now Gunner is number 12 too. So the legacy carries on. But like if the 12 wasn't available, Griffin was going to take 21
to flip it. But that's just, man, God. Any kind of ex-athlete, we are weird about the numbers.
I love that 13 was your number, though, because not a lot of people would take 13 because it's like bad luck, but that's my favorite number.
I don't believe in that.
My birthday's on the 13th, and my 13th birthday was on Friday the 13th.
It's a great number.
I don't believe in that kind of that kind of craziness, but I do believe I need to knock on wood every once in a while. Well, I'm as superstitious as I need to be. It's really kind of funny how that works.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm almost OCD about certain things, and then I'm also like, that's bullshit about the number 13 being bad. I love it, so I'll tattoo it on me. But then, I'll leave, and I've got certain OCD things. I'm very regimented. My day, if my day gets messed up, my universe is ruined.
If you can't go to MAPCO and get your ice before going to the gym in the morning.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
It's all over.
Everything's
I actively walk under ladders and stuff. I think it's fun to mess with the system.
I like it.
Well, so Francine and Frankie football, I really like this book. It kind of flies under my radar because Larry the Luna Tike is my favorite out of the group, just for me. But Francine and Frankie football is a great lesson, So
what's interesting about that is I was very lucky. I didn't get beat up by my brothers. They were, unless I did something stupid, you know what I mean? If I just showed up dressing like Vanilla Ice or something, they'd knock hat straight.
That's hilarious.
But other than that, I didn't just get beat up for no reason. So I saw a lot of friends that got the ass from their older brothers, and I just didn't understand it. But I understood it enough to where their brothers loved them, and I wanted to write that book because, a lot of people didn't have the luxury or don't have the luxury that I did with getting along with their brothers. Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately, in the long run, anyone who's teasing you or, it's like close friends. I don't think my friends have ever called me Richard. It's usually something that you can't say.
Absolutely.
You can say it all you want on here.
Yeah, I just mean on like The View. What I mean?
Right.
These are, it's like, oh, okay, perfect. Great to see you too, you piece of shit. And that's a sign of love and affection. And I think when kids kind of see that ultimately, and I want them to see to get your siblings back, period. I think that's sometimes lost. I mean, I saw people that didn't protect their brothers or their sisters, and it was actually kind of gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I was raised, man, my dad, if anyone fucked with my sister, he would send me on a mission to fix it. I mean, my little sister.
What about Chris?
But I could mess with my sister all I wanted to.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's
that's the whole, piece of the story that I love is that, much as grief as you may give your siblings when the shit hits the fan,
nobody else fucks with them.
That's who's going to have your back.
No, well, yeah, I can bitch about my girlfriend, but you better not say a damn thing.
Absolutely.
Same concept. It's like anything. You just, you got to protect your own. And, venting is one thing, but having people, attack your people, it's unacceptable. Even if you think I'm being a jerk.
Well, see, that's where I think that sets Luna Tikes apart again that I really like is most books nowadays would say that even the siblings shouldn't give each other any shit. And everyone should be overly, that's what I love. They're kind of older school lessons from our generation that maybe don't get, they're not pounded in nowadays. And they're not bad lessons.
Fantastic.
No, that's kind of the thing too. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do Luna Tikes. Me and Mike just was like, look, I want to do this on my own. That's why he came in. I'm like, look, I don't want to try to get some, random house or somebody to sit there and sugarcoat everything. I'm like, they have that, it's like, that's everywhere. Yeah. And I want it to be a little more realistic to life because you can't sit there and hope that your kid, like my sons get along really well until they don't. Right. But you can't sit there and hope that they're not going to. I mean, they need to learn. I mean, we're animals. They're going to fight. They need to learn how to do that. I mean, if you go look at, bears in the wild, the cubs are sitting there beating the hell out of each other. They're kind of learning how to fight and to defend themselves. We're animals. And you got to expect that. You can't just expect everyone being born speaking the Queen's English. So you got to give them latitude and allow for that to happen and let them grow into the, people. I mean, I've made tons of mistakes. That's the thing. I'm not trying to be Mr. Rogers. I'm not trying to sit here and tell people, hey, I'm one of the best human beings around. Look at my kid books. It's
Listen
like,
to
one of my
me.
little taglines is don't judge a book by its author.
No, I love that tagline.
dude.
It's fantastic.
I'm just trying to get lessons out that I think are necessary. And, and again, I'm an adult. When I'm having an adult conversation, I'm going to use adult language.
Right.
I'm going to be an adult. When I'm with kids, I'm doing it in different ways. It's kind of like when my kids are at grandma's, do whatever the hell you want. My rules don't apply. Grandma's rules apply because they need to learn where they're in different places. You're hanging out with the Pope. Don't piss in a bush.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's life.
Yeah, it's life. And they got to learn those different situations. When people are yelling at grandma because they gave her, grandma gave her too many cookies, who cares? Let them have their cookies.
Oh,
I agree. Well, Larry the Luna Tike, here's what I love, and I kind of want to get your take on it, is I think he's the most awesomely in-your-face story because although his dad told him, not to fight because he was bullied, Larry was in the story for everyone that hasn't read him yet, and he decides to get back at his bullies, and he basically becomes Evel Knievel, right, on his tricycle. Mm-hmm. And he wins over his bullies, and in the end, everyone's cheering for him because he's a badass. That wouldn't get told today. They would just be like, hey, just walk away from your bully. Don't, he took action. Larry took a little action and made the shit. He didn't fight like his dad told him not to, but he still stood up and stood his ground.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't know. I would never tell my kids to be a coward. Hey, if somebody tells you you're a weenie, like one of my sons has long hair and kids call him a girl all the time. I'm like, who cares? Don't worry about it. I had long hair. Who cares? You're not a girl. You know that.
God bless him if he can have long hair.
Cut it for a while, but not because he didn't love it. He loved it.
You'd have to see one of his videos, babe. He's got long, luscious hair. He's got a great head of hair.
I'm jealous. Our son has terrible hair. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell him, like to punch the kid in the face.
Sure.
I'm going to, but if the kid punches him in the face, I'm not going to be mad at him if the school calls and goes, this kid punched your son in the face and he called him a girl and your son hit him back.
Right.
I'll go, good. That's what happens.
Exactly.
Oh, that's already happened with our kid and he's in preschool.
Yeah. It's a funny story, but I'll tell you, he had a kid that's,
well, and it's one of his best friends.
but he's a class above him, and they had moved him up in a class, and they were out on the playground, and he had pushed our son down and was sitting on him, not letting him get up. And he punched him in the busted his little nose open. And so when I got to the school, and the teachers are all terrified of me for some reason, just because of how I look, because I'm super nice.
Yeah, except for the director.
She knows me. But so the teacher was real hesitant about even telling me. And when she did, it was almost like she was apologizing. And, she told me the whole story. And I was like, well, I got no problem with that. If he was sitting on him and he was trying to get up and he wouldn't let him up and he was, crying to get up, if he punched him in the nose, that's his fault. And I'll tell his parents.
What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do?
Oh, no. And the other kids' parents were like, well, he kind of asked for it.
Well, and that's the thing. I think when you break into reality, people understand that stuff. So when all you're doing is sugarcoating, the little dinosaur that walks away from the T-Rex, it's like, it's just kind of absurd because it's just not a reality because there's a lot of ways to lose, I'd rather lose a fight than know that I was a coward. Mm-hmm. To me, that lives with you. I remember certain times when I was a kid, it only happened a couple times because I hated the feeling of it, where I thought I might lose the fight and kind of got my way out of it. Mm-hmm. And that to this day sticks with me. If I would have let the dude just beat the hell out of me, I wouldn't think about it anymore. I'd be more proud of myself. And I think that there's worse things than losing a fight. And for you to tell you, the problem is all these, cowards that'll sit there and hit you with a pipe. There's no such thing as a fair fight. So I get where they're a little weary about the fighting and how it can escalate. But when you break it down to like a fist fight or whatever, they need to let it go. I mean, we had one friend who, I think he pantsed a buddy and they tried to give him, he's in like 4th grade and they put like a sexual offense on the kid.
Shut up.
Holy shit.
And like a little aggressive there, don't you think?
Oh my God. That's so.
That's subpar.
Because that can like ruin your life.
It does ruin your life nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, like.
Well, then if you have to pee if you have to pee outside, you're a sexual predator. God forbid you have a bladder problem like I do.
Yeah,
you can sit there and it's like you're on the neighborhood watch list. It's like, oh my God, what'd that guy do? Dude, I had 4 beers and peed 8. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Right, so now you're on the sex offender list because if you get busted peeing out,
That's ridiculous, man. I mean,
Yeah.
a good old-fashioned pantsing, there's nothing funnier. I
Oh.
grew up, we're similar in age, so pantsing was the shit during my generation.
Well, and
I've been pantsed
there's the famous time where Randall was pantsed in
a restaurant.
right in the lobby of a family restaurant right after a snowboarding trip.
And my wiener was tiny. I mean,
It was like
he
he had sweatpants on, and his friend came behind him and pantsed him.
So it was a confidence builder.
Oh my God. It was, we were pretty sure he's on like a poster in the back room of that restaurant. Like,
And I was never mad at my friend. It was well done. You know, I mean, I hated the circumstance, but after I stopped laughing and we were talking
like
outside,
2 days later.
I was like, bro, man, I mean, I got to give you a high five. I mean, you got me like, I mean, my hands were in my hoodie pocket, so I couldn't even grab my pants. He got them all the way down. And I turned around to pull them up to kind of cover my shit and basically bent over at the waist and spread my butt apart in front of my buddy's wife. So it was a disaster, but hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Nowadays, people, they don't have the confidence. They can't handle it. And it's because everybody's getting medals. Everybody's getting, everybody's too coddled, you know. And I think that once things don't go your way, they're freaking out. You know, I don't know. I could be in the grocery store, and if my kids are going crazy, I just grab them by the hands and I walk out. I don't, you know, and some of these people, they continue to let their kids open the Fruit Loops, throw them all over the place. And
That's exactly what I do.
He likes to throw Fruit Loops. What?
Drives me nuts.
Yeah,
Brooke just gets out of there and
I
handles it in the car.
I leave Randall in the grocery store with the little pink grocery cart.
Fire truck or whatever by myself.
I'm like, we're out of here.
Well, at least I have the decency to bribe him with the Snickers and at least save my ears.
Yeah.
You know? But
100%.
that's the one thing too. Like, my wife and I were at this restaurant in Pismo, and this lady was like, the kid's screaming for a soda, and we're at a pizza parlor. It's like, I know soda's not good for you, but neither's pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
What goes better with pizza than a soda? Nothing. Like, the kids just go, I just want a soda. It goes well with the pizza. And the mom's just like super stringent on it, not leaving. You know, like trying to prove this point to a 4-year-old. It's like, that's not how you prove a point to a 4-year-old. Just give them the soda then and deal with it later. Do that lesson at home. That's not time.
Yeah, our 4-year-old's grown this like fondness of Diet Coke cause we don't go out to eat very much. We mostly eat at home, but like I sat down, we went out to eat, was it last weekend? And I came back from the bathroom and Randall had gotten him a Diet Coke. I was like, oh, fuck it. Sure.
But I did it.
Oh, yeah.
I did it just like Richard just said. He was starting to be a shit.
Is that
and
what
I was like, I'm ending it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let him ruin all 5 tables around us, their dinner. I'm going to let him drink the Diet Coke, and if he bounces off the walls at home, I'll handle it there.
And he was fine.
And he was fine, but, shit.
Well, and that's the thing, too. They bitch about a Coke, and then you give it to them, and they take 2 sips.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's not like they sit there and drink a 32-ounce soda in front of you. They don't even eat half the candy you give them. So you're better off just kind of giving it to them. I had friends that never didn't grow up. Like, my parents would never let us have, like, Fruit Loops or Cocoa Puffs or, like, any sweet cereal. I grew up on, like, Crispix, Wheat Chex, just healthy cereal or healthier-ish.
Yeah.
But if I wanted a candy, I could have a candy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, if you're eating cereal, eat good cereal. And my kids don't. They eat whatever cereal they want. They eat trash. But I feel like there's something to it. It's kind of like the kid who never drinks in high school, goes to college, slams a fifth of Jack Daniels and dies.
That's,
little wiggle room there.
That's kind of how I think of it. Like, cause I definitely have like some friends and stuff and people that I work with that like, I kind of feel like they're trying to make me feel like shit when they're talking about like stuff that their kids eat and do. And I'm like,
they're vegan. My kid is vegan.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not your kid's choice.
Well, and you're lying. You're lying. I guarantee you've thrown that kid some ABCs and 1, 2, 3s with meatballs.
Yeah.
Calling him back.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
I apologize. I don't know if it was me or you.
I have no idea.
Me.
But I was going to say, Brooke's done pretty good. She's got Gunner on Raisin Bran. Like, that's his favorite shit. And it's not too bad. He doesn't put sugar on it.
He loves raisin cereal is what he calls it. Randall's tried to give him Fruity Pebbles and everything, which, I mean, he's like, it's okay. I want raisin cereal.
Luckily.
See, that's nice. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes they eat it, sometimes they don't. As long as they're eating, I obviously to a point. Because your metabolism, I mean, I get it. There's some kids that are eating literally chips constant, I mean, just horrible stuff. And obviously diabetes is an issue, but I mean, I grew up on mac and cheese too. I had other stuff. I had all kinds of things that weren't necessarily good, but it mixed it out with, I wasn't playing, Fortnite all day. By the way, for the record,
we lose you.
Either way, I wasn't wasted. I was outside playing. You're getting exercise. You're doing things. I think it's when you're eating trash and not moving.
Oh, that's all. That is my hugest thing. I tell people all the time because they ask me, because I work out a lot. I lift weights. I'm not the biggest cardio beast in the world because I'm more of on the weights now in my older age. But so people will ask me the advice. I'm like, you just need to sweat somehow. Sweat, whether it's walking, jogging, basketball, playing tennis. Get out and sweat. And calories in versus calories out. Like, it's not a big shit.
Instead of having the whole loaf of bread, have a quarter of it.
Right.
It's
not rocket science, It's fucking sweat more and eat less. Or if you eat more that day, you need to work out harder. It's all you can do the math pretty simply if you really want to. But before I forget though, I was wanting to ask you, the first time we read Luna Tikes, and when we ordered this other set and we were reading them all with Gunner that night, the first thing that popped into my head was, why isn't this a cartoon? Like Auntie, because Gunner loves like PJ Masks is one of his favorites. And Luna Tikes could easily be that.
The illustrations kind of remind me of PJ Masks.
It does. It's so good.
Well,
has that crossed your mind?
And right now I've kind of, like I told you, the focus has sort of changed. Like, we got into Valley Children's Hospital here in Madera, and the kids love them.
Of course.
And, and so that's kind of been the transition where I'm seeing, because to me, obviously, the messages, all that sort of stuff, and I just don't have access to the heads at Nickelodeon, so that's part of the issue. But in the meantime, I want to get them out into the most hands as possible.
Of course.
And instead of trying to take money from the hospital, right now we're in the process of looking for major corporations, and their foundations and people that are already philanthropic, and allowing them, because obviously, since we print them, we can do whatever we want with them. So we're looking for big corporations or foundations that want to be philanthropic like that, as well as advertise, and allow them to put their logos on the books, get them into hospitals to, give these kids a great distraction and not take money. Just make it be a partnership where it really, really blows up and works, and it's great for all people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's kind of where the push is right now, just because it's the right thing to do. And then ultimately, if somebody sees what we're doing and like I said, if you follow what you're doing the right thing, people will see it. And then hopefully that other fun stuff will come with it. But right now, to me, seeing the looks on the kids' faces when I go in, I'll go in there and read, and there's kids getting chemo while I'm reading, and they're just smiling ear to ear, they're laughing when normally they wouldn't be, and they really love the books. They have tons of questions about the books, especially because, like if Harry Hockey when he's getting shoved by Chuck, or Phil the Fisherman, with there's just they just garner a lot of questions. They just bring up a lot of questions for these kids, and it's really beautiful to see. And so I just kind of like taking it down the path that they're almost sort of naturally going. So I'm kind of just following what the books are, and the people that read them are kind of telling me.
Yeah, that's probably the smartest way anyway, and the most pragmatic as far as financially, to let it evolve itself instead of trying to dump a ton of money.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want it to be organic, because I believe that they have the ability to spread, and people will love them. It's just a matter of when they see them. I haven't gotten bad feedback. All I get is people go, "These are awesome. I love them." And so most of it's word of mouth, and I kind of like that. I take pride in that. I've had people offer me a lot of money to try to partner up, and we'll dump this into marketing and whatever. I'm like, that's not kind of the brand. I mean, the brand is to be wholesome and real and organic, and if the messages resonate, which I think they do, then in time they'll get where they deserve to be.
Yeah. But you have enough, and I'm sure you do, being a writer, but you could write these characters enough to do a cartoon with them and run with it.
Oh yeah. I already have a story in my head, because I have several different characters that haven't come out. There's 10 more books that are written, and they get more complicated. And ultimately too, in one of them, it's about not, because like in Larry the Luna Tike, it's about not fighting. And then in his name's Light 'em Up Lloyd Lightning, and he ultimately he's a really aggressive kid, and he ultimately these dragons come and they're attacking the town, And then he ends up growing up to be he never grows up. They always stay the same age, but in theory, he grows up and he fights off these dragons and he comes home the hero. So to kind of show there is a time for aggression, but it's just, it's got to be the right time for aggression.
Sure.
Not to just fight out of, don't just rip the juice out of your sister's hand and rip her braids out.
Oh, awesome. Where are we at on time, babe?
45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to hold you forever, Richard, but I know that I told you we had some fan questions I was wanting to get to. If you're cool with that.
Sure.
I can fire them off to you.
And just so you know, baby, the stuff on your forehead now is all dry.
Yeah, I've got a charcoal mask on also, Richard. I put it on before to get the blackheads out.
You're going to feel nice and fresh when you get that off.
Beautifying that face.
Well, before the fan question, I did actually have one from me that was kind of based off the books. Like, do you have like your own kind of parental philosophy, like anything that you try to roll? Because we talked to a lot of people on this show, obviously, and friends and family, and I'm of the opinion that, you know what, nobody knows how to be a perfect. There is no perfect parent.
No.
We're all just trying to
I think my goal is
kids
just
alive
to keep him alive and make sure he's not a
good
complete
citizens.
asshole when he grows up.
Yeah, be good citizens and make something of themselves. But
keep him out of jail.
Nowadays it's you got to be. It's dangerous out there. You can't spank your kids. That's a disaster. And so I was wondering what your thoughts on all that were.
Well, I'm a tonal guy. So my dad voice, when I scream, they know they drop everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm very sparing with it. Mm-hmm. So when I do use it, I don't overutilize it because then they just don't care. It's like, oh, dad's losing his mind again. Mm-hmm. Big deal. So I feel like whatever you do, you have to do it, and also to do it when it's consistent. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. If I'm freaking out about them spilling milk, and then them doing like breaking my grandma's urn, and I yell at the same velocity and volume, and,
it's not going to resonate.
It's not going to resonate, And so I feel like you just kind of have to pick and choose and just be more consistent. That's sort of my deal. And also, I like to talk to my kids like they're people.
Yeah.
It's like, look, that's unacceptable behavior, man. You can't do that.
That's
not how it works. This person, if you don't like them, you don't like them. It's okay to not like people, and it's okay for people to not like you. Just don't be mean to them. Just try to, I just try to be as much of as a friend / dad. That's the thing too. All these people are trying to be their best friend.
No,
it's like, I don't post pictures of my kid to tell people how cute they are. Everyone loves their damn kid.
Yeah.
You don't need to, and they like, oh, look at my baby, and they make them into these, gods when they haven't done anything. Mm-hmm. Raise them to finally one day, if you peak when you're 7, that's pretty sad.
That is rough.
So I don't want them to have that feeling, and I want them to feel, confident and special and like everybody should.
But they earned it.
At the same time, you got to be realistic about it. And, like I said, I just try to treat them like they're human beings and be, as upfront as I can. And then there's certain things that are none of their damn business. And there's a lot of parents that don't have that boundary. They're kind of, talking about their friends in front of their kids.
Yeah.
I've had a few people talking about some people, we know, and by the way, if you guys are listening, it's not you.
Don't worry. It's not you.
Don't even worry. But it's like that, your kids are right there. They know who you're talking, I just feel
they
like
listen to
there's adult world and there's kids world. Keep them in kids world. And, but at the same time, talk to them like they're people. And that's why I think a lot of adults that don't know how to deal with kids, they just don't look at them as people and they freak out. If I deal with kids all the time, and I just go up to them and go, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, girl? You're so cute. Blah, blah. I like your shoes. I love big bright shoes, whatever." And they just laugh and they like it. When you act like it's a rattlesnake, you're going to get a rattlesnake type response.
All right. Well, I've got.
If that answers your question,
It
I like
does.
No, it
Hey,
does. That's perfect.
You said you have 2 boys?
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
6 and 4.
Oh, so you do have.
they're
I thought
the
your
same
kids
age.
are. Yay.
Yeah,
okay.
the one with the long hair is 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Jake,
super
and then
cute.
Gus is the
I'm
6-year-old.
so jealous. So I have curly. I have a ton of hair. It's not necessarily thick, but curly, ton of hair. I had all these high hopes of when we had a baby that it was going to have some hair like mine, and even if we were having a boy, and I wanted him to have long, awesome surfer hair. Nope, he got
my horrible
He's
hair.
a clone of Randal, to the T, and his poor little hair is just flat and terrible. And I'm so jealous that.
Well, I mean, my hair was leaving me my freshman year in college. I mean,
Well,
I
you-
started shaving
yeah.
my head because poor kid doesn't have a chance with his
He
head.
doesn't.
I mean, he's a handsome.
Well, we keep it high
devil.
and
Don't worry, he
tight.
won't listen to this anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, there's just something. He's perfect.
He'll rock the
Oh,
bald
no,
look
I
like
love
I
what
do.
you're saying. I love what you're saying. It's you know
Yeah.
what, it is what it is.
It is
You
what
know,
it is.
That's yeah, it's really and that you dream about certain hair. Like I have a buddy of mine who has a bunch of girls, and he makes no bones that he wished he had some boys. Does that mean he doesn't love his girls?
Exactly.
Not a chance in
I
hell.
wish I
Not
had a
chance
girl
in hell.
around here. You know what? I've got Gunner and a stepson that's 13, and his room smells like a hamster cage. And
He is in that horrible 13-year-old. He's got a mustache starting, and
well, but we've even got
smells
So
like
you're just
a.
praying to start to smell like weed soon?
Oh yeah, but right now it smells. He's big into football, and that testosterone's kicking in, and I go into his room and it smells like a damn hamster cage. And I remember that age
I
when
hope
you're
he owns a hamster.
when you're 13.
If only. If only.
I mean,
yeah.
he's just in there. It's crazy. He's
No.
got armpit hair now.
I need
and
some estrogen in here. Like the one girl dog we had died a couple years ago, so we got 2 boy dogs. I got 2 boys and Randall. So I'm like, give me a girl up in here, but it doesn't mean I love my boys any less.
Well, what I had to
no
hit
doubt
on,
about
what I had to hit on though before we go to the fan questions, I'm glad I remembered, is I think we share another thought process in common, Richard. Obviously, because we're very closely to being related. Everyone can tell from looking at us.
We're
We'll
waiting
find
for-
out when that test comes.
We're waiting for the results. Yeah.
But I like your videos where you're doing like your flips with your kids and showing the kids that you still got it. And I don't know if you remember, I commented a few days ago and I was like, sometimes you got to show the kids that the old man can still get it done.
Oh yeah.
I think it's important. I really do.
Oh
Like,
no.
it's
Definitely.
it's a real shit. I go out and I'll run routes with Griffin, and he thinks he's big shit because he's a good athlete, and
Oh, and Randall might come in here and then go in the bedroom and be like, I think
I'll be sore.
I broke every bone. But he'll never let Griffin know.
But we did a 40 a few months ago and had Brooke film it, and it was a legit on a turf field. He swore he was going to whoop my ass, and I was like, son, old man's going to surprise you. And I whooped that ass, and it killed him. But I wasn't going to let him win.
No, but you were dying.
Oh, I was ruined for a week.
Oh yeah. No, I'll donate my hamstrings to science for that.
That's exactly. I tore a hammy. I knew I did too when I pulled up, but I won.
Oh my God, it was so funny how sore he was. But he kicked his ass in like time, but he paid for it.
No, I'm a firm believer in that. Well, and also too, I feel like that's something that kids kind of keep me young in that way. Because normally I don't really care. I was super competitive when I was a kid, so I feel like I kind of tapped out with that. And then you have them, and then they talk a little trash, and you're going, okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right, let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
Your little somersault on a trampoline. Watch this. Scoot your ass over.
Right. See how it's done, son.
All right. Well, here's the first fan question. It is deep and important.
Okay, I'll bet.
Roadhouse, national treasure, or overrated dog shit? These are the kind of fan questions we get. So
Hard hitting.
Anything with Patrick Swayze is a national treasure, in my opinion.
agreed.
That's the correct answer.
So, what you think about the movie is irrelevant, in my opinion.
Exactly.
It's got Patrick Swayze, and he's in Point Break, so there you go.
Boom.
And Dirty Dancing. I do. Okay, so this one, I don't know who this is from. It says, I've seen pictures of Richard with an amazing beard. Why would he ever shave it off?
Mostly, I shaved it off because my kids, if you ever have a beard and have little kids, and they rip at it, and it hurts like hell.
Oh, it does hurt.
Well, Randall-
I keep a big beard, and I shaved it once, and it horrified my son.
Yeah, that's the
It
funny
was-
thing. Randall has had a beard since Gunnar was born. He actually started like I'm not going to shave for a year bet the day we were checking me into the hospital to have him. And so Gunnar's only known Randall with a beard, never really pulled at it, I don't think.
Oh, he does. It hurts like a motherfucker.
When he was a little...
Dude, yeah,
He
it's no
still
joke.
does. But
Oh, he
I just,
still does?
I just don't let him see how bad it hurts.
I don't
it
think
hurts like
I guess
fuck.
I just don't pay attention to that.
You know what? Actually, to be honest, I that was part of it, and then I did, to give the real answer. I was kind of pissed. I had an audition for something, and this was when I was still kind of auditioning, and I had to go to LA for this thing, and it was a big deal. And I shaved it, and naturally didn't get the part, or we'd be talking about that.
Oh,
But it was time to go anyways. I had it for, I think, 9 months. So you had it for a year. That thing was gargantuan. I can guarantee you.
Oh,
but,
yeah. It gets...
They're no joke once you get past the 6 month
yeah.
mark.
He's about once a year. He'll shave it down to where he doesn't shave it off anymore, but he'll shave it. The one time he shaved it off, Gunner was like, "I hate your face." Like, I think he literally said that.
He did. He said, "What happened to your face? I don't like it."
I don't like your face, Daddy.
Yeah. Like, thank you, son.
Yeah, I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom for a while.
Appreciate that.
Obviously, neither.
My dear child. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't either, and I'll keep this beard for the rest of my life.
But now you'll take it down because sometimes it just gets. I mean,
when it gets long, it'll get in your damn shirt buttons, and I mean, it's long.
Yeah.
When it gets to the
zipper.
point,
You get that in a zipper a couple times, and it's
well, and you
not
go
the funnest.
You go and eat a burrito, and you taste it and smell it for the rest of the day.
No, that's
when
no
you've
joke.
got a beard, it's real.
or then you'll go to kiss me, and I'm like, I got all beard hair right then. Yeah,
yeah.
No bueno.
Well, and two, you start to see like a 120-pound dude that's little hipster guy with a beard and it's
Wearing
like,
a
if he can
scarf
grow
in the
one, that's
summer.
really the point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, here's a good one, and this kind of leads into a question from me too, but because I don't know if I didn't know till I started looking into that you had actually done some stand-up comedy.
What?
And this question, obviously, this person knew that and said, "Who is your favorite comedian and influence, and why?"
There's like Eddie Murphy is a huge influence. George Carlin is
Love
a huge
George
influence.
Carlin. That's my shit. I love George.
Yeah, he's amazing. Or was. He's still alive in my heart.
Oh, mine too.
Richard Pryor. I mean, I like Dennis Leary. I grew up on all of them. But those usually the more foul-mouthed, well-pointed people.
God, Eddie Murphy.
Can you even say Bill Cosby anymore? I was a big fan of Bill
Well,
Cosby.
I was
don't know if
too.
you
That's
could
the
say.
thing. It's like, yeah. I mean,
I never really loved this. I love Dr. Huxtable.
his
I mean,
was cleaner
fucking-
comedy, but it was funny. Like me and
But it
I
was
mean,
hilarious.
it was so
I mean,
hilarious.
his what the hell is it called?
Himself?
Oh, yeah, Bill Cosby himself. That's
Yes.
just lights out funny.
We had that
you
on
know.
VHS when I was growing up, and like that was our shit. Like it was
None of
that and Raw and Delirious
Raw,
too.
nothing touches Raw, in my opinion.
that's
And he was 23 years old. He was 23.
God, he was a good-looking son of
And
a
it-
bitch.
I mean,
and
it-
rich
yeah.
and
it blows people out of the water today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know a lot of the guys. Like I know. Well, again, you can't even say half these comics anymore. They're all just whipping out their junk. But like, I haven't seen Louis C.K. much. I've heard some of his stuff. But mostly it's like anything. When you feel like you've got to see some of the best people as far as watching them and growing up, and then you kind of become of age, you're not nearly as impressed.
Right.
Not to say, oh, I'm the funniest man on the planet. I could do that. Whatever. It's more just it's not, it's like anything. If you met Joe Antonio when you're 6 versus meeting him when you're 40, you're going to have a different reaction.
Exactly.
well, that's why George Carlin is he's on my Mount Rushmore, because his shit, especially there at the end, that had to be very difficult, because his stuff was very thinking man's comedy, rant
Well, he was pissed towards the end.
Yeah,
He was
God,
much
yeah.
more
Yeah.
angry, and it was starting to bother him. And when he did a special like every year.
Can you
and they
imagine
were
writing
amazing.
that?
He didn't repeat himself. I mean, now the comics, they have like one act. They do it for 25 years, and then they go on a game show.
Yeah.
That guy was actually trying to pump out new material constantly, which, that's just so respectable when you know how much work that is.
Oh yeah.
Well, so how scary was that in relation to the other things you've done as far as movies or a stand-up set? What makes you more nervous?
I stand up. I think once you bomb and you realize you still have all your limbs and no one is going to remember you the next day anyways, you get over it pretty quickly. I think when doing that Rest Stop movie was probably the most scary, because it was my first and only lead of something. And just the concept of doing that, I was super excited. It wasn't so much scary as it was, I put in so much work to get to that point to where, it was just more of a rush. So, but none of it really, that's kind of the reason I love doing that stuff. I mean, I'll get back into it one day, I assume.
That was a fun movie.
I would do it right now if the opportunity came up.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I love the adrenaline of it. I love being scared and pushing myself. It's something, it kind of reminds me of playing quarterback again. There's something about
Yeah.
The pressure's on. You have to do this. And I just kind of love it. They're very similar, actually. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a great comparison because, like a quarterback, when the team does well, the quarterback gets too much praise, and when the team does terrible, he gets too much of the blame.
Yeah, so
and I would imagine that's the same way with leading a movie. You know,
yeah, or even stand up. It's just a shitty audience.
Uh-huh.
Well, we gotta talk about Rest Stop 2 for a second because that movie fucked me up for about 3 nights.
Because you watched it?
Yeah, well, no, because it was scary as shit.
It gave Randall nightmares for real. Like
we loved the movie.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, for Randall to watch a movie from beginning to end is kind of like a big deal.
Well, I wish you were an executive at Warner Brothers.
Right? It was fun. Like, I was like, I mean, and unfortunately, I had to go like put our son to bed, kind of like, so I saw all of it, but it wasn't like Randall was sitting in front of it the whole time.
Yeah, she was in and out, and
I had to come in.
The whole thing,
I was going to put our son to bed, and then at one point I had to come in because his room's right across the hall. I was like, "Hey, can you turn that down? Because you're definitely going to give our baby nightmares." So
yeah, my nightmares was of the crazy pastor and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That
lady's been in a shitload of stuff, hadn't she?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was the thing. Working with the people on the everyone was awesome. You know, the people, that was the part that's so neat. There's a ton of camaraderie on a film, you know, from the director down to the writer's actor. Everybody was just awesome. So that's part of it that's super fun.
Yeah.
And it's definitely different. Like, it was actually kind of weird. There was one scene where the lead was doing something, getting her leg drilled or something.
Yes. Oh, yeah, your girlfriend. Yeah.
It feels like it's just, there's something very realistic about it when you have all the makeup and it sort of kind of bothers you. You kind of get more into it than you'd think.
Yeah.
You know, it's like these people on The Bachelor, they go into the mansion the first day and then they don't make it and they're crying like they just got dumped by their wife of 25 years. It's
right.
Like, you were in that mansion for 34 minutes, dude.
But
I think it's just the pressure cooker of the situation that kind of messes with your emotions and stuff. So, but no, I to answer your question, they're all exciting as hell. And that's one of the reasons I love kind of every aspect of entertainment, be it stand-up, acting, whatever. Writing, I love all of it.
All right, cool. Well, we got
that movie was super fun. I mean it.
Well, I'm glad.
Hopefully.
Thank you. That's about the first time I've heard that. So.
Well, I mean, and I'm
10 years to hear it. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and I'm kind of a weirdo to say it's fun, like, but
yeah,
it's
I wouldn't say
movie.
Fun for me. It was terrifying, but I enjoyed the show.
I like that kind of thing.
Well, good. It was fun for me to make. That's for sure.
All right, so this one's a little different subject. But we're all from the same generation, so I think you'll get it. Be honest. Were you ever a fan of NKOTB, NSYNC, or Backstreet Boys? And then there's a second part to it. Based on looks alone, is JT a good-looking guy?
Wow, that's a loaded question. It's a lot.
Okay. Wow, this person's still 15. No offense.
Living in the 90s for sure.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't necessarily a fan, but I can respect the hell out of what they were able to achieve and accomplish. Mm-hmm. That I can say. I wouldn't badmouth any of them. They, toured the world and made a fortune and had a blast doing it. And who wouldn't want to do that? Justin Timberlake can sleep in my house anytime he wants.
I think so too. Randall tries to claim that, like, if he wasn't famous and talented, he looks.
See, I have no problem with saying.
Well, I don't think he's Brad Pitt. I just think he's not an ugly creature. That's all. I didn't say he could sleep with me. I said he could sleep in my house.
Well, no, of course. I just. Which that question is hilarious. But whoever wrote that, I really want them to reach out to me so I can figure out what kind of personality they have, because that's a crazy question.
So I'm a little so like here's my critique of the question. NKOTB is 90s. NSYNC and Backstreet Boys are 2000s.
Yeah, it's a pretty big gap.
So that's like because New Kids on the Block, like, that was my jam. I mean, it was like 6th, 7th grade. I was right.
Oh yeah, hanging tough.
Right in the fucking wheelhouse. Yeah, and I was supposed to go to their concert, and then I got grounded, and I don't even remember for what, but it was like the most devastating. Like, my parents might as well have just like locked me away for life. I was devastated, but yeah, and I mean, I liked NSYNC and Backstreet, but I was in college, so like,
I mean, I was more when NKOTB was out. I mean, I'm not going to pretend.
How you guys can do that with the acronyms? I have no idea.
New Kids on the Block.
Kids on the Block. Right. Sorry.
That's okay. I love it.
When they were out, I was more of a Guns N' Roses fan. That was the same time. Like, I remember Appetite for Destruction was.
Oh, I was too, but.
But I mean, I remember a lot of New Kid stuff, so I can't say that I'm a hater at all. I remember Hanging Tough and.
Well, you could have been a death metal fan and not avoided those. That's how the big time they were.
Yeah, they were
everywhere.
So
that's what I mean. That's like you don't have to be a fan to appreciate,
what they were doing.
And especially at that age, I was a literal walking dumbass at 18, 19, 20. I couldn't have managed a world tour. I could barely keep myself alive as far as looking back now. So much respect.
No, if I was 20 on the road, I'd be dead.
With all that money and all the hell no, not for me either.
No.
This is actually a great question, and kudos to them because we rarely get these. Richard, in your opinion, are we living in the worst of times, or is right now the greatest time to be alive? It's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. I would say we're living in not certainly the worst of times by any stretch. I think it just depends on how you look at it, really. I mean, some people are like, I think the technology is a curse and a blessing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I can sell my books online. You guys can do your podcast where what are you going to do? Go to New York and try to uproot and do all this stuff. I mean, the access that people have to try to generate and be entrepreneurs and make money, I think it's the best of times because you could literally make money from your house. You can free yourself up if you can come up with the right ideas. And before you could have the right ideas and nowhere to put them. And if you did go to a big corporation to show it to them, they'd just steal it and say you never were there. So I think from a technology standpoint, that's kind of a hit and miss thing. From a political standpoint, I think it's all rose-colored nonsense anyways. I don't think what we're taught happened anyways, but that's a different podcast.
Agreed.
But so I think it's a mixed bag. I think we're living in a certainly a great time if you want to be an entrepreneur or creative or get yourself out there. If you have talent and throw yourself on YouTube or whatever you want to do. You couldn't do that before. You were at the mercy of some, lady eating Twinkies behind a casting couch, saying, you suck. And then they hire their nephew.
Well, what gets me, and to add to your point, because I think that's very well put, is I think where it's a curse is that I just don't think people ever, and so many people I know, they don't ever get outside and just look around and be like, this is a pretty fucking beautiful place to be. Like, this shit is great.
I remember I used to be able to go out with my buddies, slam a 30-pack, and wake up without my ass with a giant devil drawing on it on the internet.
Well, right.
2.5 million hits.
Oh,
people embarrass their friends like it's, someone passes out on a toilet and they're taking pictures and embarrassing. That's no friend that I can think of.
I'm so glad we didn't have cell phones back when I was 18, 19. I mean,
and I feel for these kids. I mean, you believe me, in 20 years, the president will have thousands of dick pics.
Oh God, yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Or boob or whatever.
See, and I'm glad you brought that up because, your boys are getting older and mine, my 13-year-old, I've actually had to have a dick pic talk with him. Like, it's crazy. I've had to have not just the sex talk with him, but that dick pics, son, can ruin your life. One dick pic.
You know what? In the future, I don't think they will because I think it will be one of those glass house situations. I think that's one of the things that will work in its favor. The Pope in 40 years will happen too.
Right.
I think that no one will be able to throw stones at anybody because that's just the way it'll be.
Yeah.
Right.
Hell,
so I think there's kind of that going with it too. I mean, you could sit there and it's like most people now, they throw stones until you see the skeletons in their closet. Like
exactly.
These politicians that are anti-gay, and then next thing you know, they're in an airport bathroom tapping
their foot. Yeah.
So,
fucking ridiculous.
Exactly. Hopefully it does. The pendulum swings back a little bit from the far side of you can't.
Well, even like Bill Cosby, that hypocrisy was mad that Eddie Murphy was dropping F-bombs all over the place. And I'd much rather my kids swear than rape people.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pick a happy medium,
absolutely. Drop that, son. Say fuck all you want. Don't drop
want.
lewds in every chick's drink.
Exactly. So, and I don't think you can judge people off of, you learn a lot as you get older, and it's just judging someone off of one experience or even two or three. You never know what the hell they're going through. You don't know what's going on. You don't know. There's many sides to people. That's kind of, I have like you brought up about, me writing children's books. I have a lot of people that, to them, they're shocked, but they don't know me that well. They know a side of me,
Absolutely.
And there's many layers to people, so I got a lot of different sides of me. I'm a dad, I'm a friend, so it is what it is. And if people want to simplify it, then so be it. Just,
nice.
That's the thing. I try to teach my kids not to be so sensitive about things. I could care less what someone says about me one way or the other.
Well, hell
It's
yeah.
like, unless you say it to my face and have the balls to come and, attack me about something, it doesn't affect me.
No, 100%. And you know what? I'm just glad if somebody's talking about me at all, and whatever, whether good or bad, that means they're interested, baby. They got,
You're not indifferent. Indifference is the worst thing you could be. To have somebody be about you.
You're on their mind.
Yep. They're a fan. Deep down inside, bitch, you're a fan. All right, you got another one, baby?
Me? Okay. All right. So what are your thoughts on the Lionel Richie video, Hello?
We have somebody that sends this question to every guest
time.
we have on, and we love it that they ask that.
Well, it's Lionel Richie, so naturally it's just beautiful.
Correct.
It pretty much melts my soul every time I see it. I haven't seen it in a while.
That's correct. Yeah.
But, Lionel Richie, that guy melts butter with his mouth. So,
yeah.
Or voice.
That song
All
is
right.
classic.
Well,
Absolute classic.
we've got two more, and that's it, and we'll let you go, Richard, man. You've been very gracious with your time. I'm sorry we kept you so long.
John's
You're all good. I sometimes keep myself as well, so I might have overstayed my welcome.
Well, this one is, do you think everyone needs to be in a fist fight at least once in their life, and why?
Yeah, I think it doesn't hurt to be in a fist fight once in your life. Because when you get punched in the mouth, you realize it doesn't hurt as bad as you think.
Agreed.
And one of the things that's kind of fun after you get in a fight, win, lose, or draw, is you feel alive. It's a very animalistic feeling when you've been in a fight. And
So true.
I just think that and it just kind of tests your, your loins a little. And it's sort of it's kind of a rite of passage, I feel like. It's if you haven't been in a fight, it's a big deal. And if you have been in a fight, it's not as big of a deal. So I think it's kind of worth, getting in a scrap here or there.
Yeah.
We don't look for them, but I think that definitely it helps you when you have been in one.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said, though. Sadly, you don't see a whole lot of fair fights anymore. When I was in high school, it became the rage where people were pulling out box cutters and cutting everybody up in fights. Like a good old fashioned just fist fight. I think everybody should. I mean, nobody's going to die, and it's
a real fight. Yeah, fist fight. No doubt about it. I think because ultimately when you're dealing, and it's funny, I got in a fight with a kid in middle school and ended up becoming great friends with him.
Oh, most of the
I think
people
that
I
happens
did.
all the time.
Yeah, most of the people I fought afterwards, we were like, shit, bro, you want to spend the night?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have
shit.
respect for them because they stood up for themselves.
Exactly.
There's a lot of respect in fighting and fighting fairly and, just being decent about it,
That's why that's one of the main reasons we put our son in jiu-jitsu
It's
at 3 years
absolutely.
old, because we wanted him to grow up in that culture of being able to defend
Respectful.
yourself, respectful, but never a bully, but you can always defend yourself and stick up for other people.
Of course.
Yeah, when those aren't the guy, like Chuck Liddell's not walking around picking fights. He's too confident.
Exactly.
You know,
For
and
For
that's the thing.
sure. I dare somebody to pick a fight with him, and that's
Yeah.
what
And
I mean.
you probably
Man.
talk him out of it, and that's the beauty of having the confidence of it, And I think usually people who start fights are just bullies and hope you're not going to fight anyway. So
Well,
if
that's the
someone
shit,
pops a bully in
too.
the mouth, they usually stop talking.
Nowadays, you never know who trains, man. It's crazy. You got some of these kids that'll look like a gamer that'll snap your arm off.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
they're
it.
$110 and you're tied in a knot in 30 seconds.
I love it. I love it so much. We've seen those YouTube videos of somebody tried to pick on some skinny little kid, and they're like a fucking yellow belt in jiu-jitsu or something. They're like, "Oh, really? Armbar?"
Ripped his arm
Yeah,
off.
he takes off his Elmo backpack
Yeah.
and beats the hell out of him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Well, what's your, you got the last
mine.
one, babe?
Is this the last one? All right. All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Rose, Blanche, and Dorothy from Golden Girls.
Interesting.
Did you watch Golden
That
Girls?
is our
I
fan
watch it all the
base,
time,
Richard.
oddly enough.
I love
That
Golden
is our
Girls.
fan base in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That and the New Kids on the Block question. Enjoy.
So Rose, just to refresh my memory, because I
Betty
did watch
White.
it, but I'm terrible. Rose is
That's Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White. Okay, so Betty White.
And then Blanche is the
Blanche.
slutty one. And then Dorothy's B. Arthur, the tall one.
Super tall.
I would probably marry Rose. Kill Dorothy. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And then I'd see if Blanche is all talk or not.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I'd want to see if
seems
she's
like
all
the
talk, 'cause
natural.
she talks like she's had them all.
Yeah.
I want to find out if she's had them all for real.
You can't have somebody like that on TV.
crazy thing
No, I want to learn her tricks is what I want to do. So
as weird as it
definitely have to
sounds,
sleep with Blanche.
as weird as it sounds, though, Betty White, she's a frisky. I mean, she's like 150 and she's still horny.
Well, that's why I'm married to
She's
her.
awesome.
That's exactly. There you
she-
go. That's
and-
exactly right.
I took her for the long haul.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Smart man.
And she's funny.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, that's all of our questions, man. I know you got your family you got to get back to, but how all can, if you want to give out all your social media and ways that people can reach out and Luna Tikes. And I did want to give you a quick sec to mention Camp Experience and how with the purchase of a Luna Tikes site or Luna Tikes set, that money can go to that.
So now if you buy a set until the end of July here, $5 if you buy a hat or a set of books, and obviously if you buy 20 sets, then, there's a lot more money going to them. But they basically they put on these camps for kids that have lost a parent, sibling, or primary caregiver. And they're free for the kids, and it's a week long, and it's just a place for them to kind of laugh and cry and, do what they need to do, and just kind of forget about their, their woes and a place to kind of heal. And I'm just a big fan of it. And so $5 is going to them, and you can donate to them directly if you don't have, little kids or whatever. It's just, look them up. They're just a neat camp. And it's an organization that I think should spread widely, because that's not a uncommon experience for younger people to have lost somebody. And then basically go to lunatikes.com, which with no dash, just LUNATIKES. And as far as Instagram, I don't even know what the handle is. It's on my phone, and I don't even have to log in.
I'm the same way, brother. I have to ask Brooke every time.
It's at Luna Tikes. I don't think there's a dash for Instagram, but your Facebook has a dash, I believe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come up.
But if you it's
I
the
like
only
to
Luna
create.
Tikes.
I'm not a salesman. I like to create.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll put
I
it in
want
the
this
show
thing to be
notes too.
organic.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'll link
Perfect.
to it.
Brooke will
in there.
list it all on the show notes, but
Well, I appreciate that.
but
You're
man,
dealing with an incompetent fool.
I'm used to it. I'm just kidding.
she is. She absolutely. That's
See, we might be related.
See, the truth comes out, and she's not lying. I can't be mad. Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. You didn't have to do this,
Absolutely.
and we're big fans, and we love the books, and we will continue to push them to everybody that will listen to us, because I think they're
For sure.
that they can help a lot of kids.
Yeah, and when you get a TV show or a movie, then you have to come back on.
Yeah.
And talk
No
to
doubt
us.
about it. Well, I really appreciate you guys having me and taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. We'll be back in touch, man, and let us know if we can ever help you with the Luna Tikes, man. We're happy to do it.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and everybody who's listening, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Love to your
Thank
family, brother.
you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Oh, what a nice guy. He's awesome.
He's my best friend.
I know. He's definitely,
He's as awesome as I thought he would
his
be.
personality is perfect to
He
hang
is.
out
He's
with.
fucking awesome. I would kick back a brewski with him
Perfect. Yeah.
every day of the week.
Oh, he's so fun.
And
Thanks, Richard.
if y'all,
I like
if y'all
that his
haven't-
friends obviously call him Dick.
I love that. I would call him Dick every second.
No, you would say Richard.
You sinner. You're a sinner.
I know. We'll save that for next time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
You like the Yankees?
And I do want to let everybody know that if you submitted questions and we didn't get to them, we just ran out of time. I didn't want to hold Richard up. He's got
We
a
try
family.
not to hold people hostage for too long.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was expecting like 30 minutes, and he's a champ and went fucking an
I
hour
know,
with
and
us.
he's so nice. He already
A good
messaged
dude.
us and said something very nice.
What a champion.
Did you see that?
No, not yet, but I don't know what else I have to hear to.
I know.
We're best friends. That's
Yeah.
all. He doesn't have to send any more
Brothers.
messages. Maybe we're related.
Wait till we get those test results back, baby.
I know, shit. I mean, hell, half of his, or 99% of his philosophies were exactly what mine are.
Dead on. I know.
I agreed with everything.
I know.
That
We're
guy.
we're kindred folk. There's a gnat that just flew right in front of my face.
But-
What do you want?
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we did.
Yes.
And support the mission of Luna Tikes. We love them. So
Absolutely. And do we need to say anything about Big Brother or no? Or we're gonna do that
we'll
Monday?
save it for Monday.
Okay.
We'll do
Wait till Monday, you motherfuckers.
And we've got Rachel.
For parenting shit. We talked about a lot of parenting stuff with Richard.
No, we'll carry some of this over for
Yeah.
sure. But we've got questions for Rachel already, and
Mm-hmm.
we are going to try to keep Rachel. She's agreed. We're going to try to rein that within an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because we can go with Rachel all
We've
fucking
gone
night
2.5. Yeah, she's our record holder of like 2.5 hours.
Oh, I thought it was almost 3, but still, that's crazy long.
Mm-hmm. That was after editing, 2.5 hours. So, or after, which I don't do much editing, but just
Yeah. But I thought it was cool that his that number 13. I knew it. I knew it just from reading the book. I knew that because Harry
Well, and if
Hockey had
he's-
a number 13. There was
Yeah.
something there.
Well, just because you played sports and then you knew he played sports,
Mm-hmm.
so you have that same mindset of, ooh, you're starting to peel some stuff off your face. I thought you were gonna let me do it.
I am going to. I just feel what you're saying. I can feel the
I
my
saw
charcoal
some.
mask.
I know. I saw some kind of coming up on the
It's
side
ready.
of your nose. Yeah, it is ready. I can see even like you're trying to scrunch your forehead, and I can see like some lines in it like forming. So,
But we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Go watch some TV and relax for our Friday night.
and
So,
get nude.
yeah, you fuck faces, suck your own dicks. Go fuck yourselves.
Bye bye.